name is Jo Young. I am the Associate Director of Marketing Services for the international team at Ticketmaster. So Sarah was talking yesterday from the UK. So I'll give more of a sort of international overview about marketing, data and ticketing trends that we're seeing. So I'll be talking for about 15 minutes and I'll go through consumer and tech trends, audience and ticket data, so how we see that manifest itself in what we do, and then big data marketing, which was spoken about quite a few times yesterday. There's upsides to it, there's downsides to it, and things that we're sort of considering and what we're working on and releasing this year. So I might stand this way so you can see. I know you've all been working really hard, but this will literally just be 12, 13 minutes with some questions at the end, so stay with me. I know it's the morning. So firstly, consumer and tech trends. What are we seeing? So there's 4 major shifts that we're seeing definitely at Ticketmaster that's changing the ticketing industry. So the first thing is cloud-based services. It changes everything. It means that anyone really can start a ticketing shop if they want to. So we've seen that in the UK with Dice. We've seen it in loads of other markets. There's loads of cool startups that have actually really good tech. And it's made us up our game, like Sarah was saying yesterday. But it also means that we all need to be really aware of the competitive situation that ticketing is now in. Secondly, mobile. So I know this sounds ridiculous because marketers have been talking about how it's the year of mobile for the last 6 or 7 years. But finally, it is, and we need to all be better at it. So on average, across all of our markets, 60% of our traffic is coming from mobile. I guarantee you that for any websites that you guys work on, over 50% of your traffic will be from mobile. I'll be really surprised if it's not. And what you have to look at if you're selling anything online is if your conversion rate is also 60% on a mobile. Because again, I bet it's not. So we need to do a lot of work on improving the mobile purchase experience, which is something that we're working on certainly at Ticketmaster. Thirdly, social. Everyone talks about social. Everyone thinks it means Facebook. Most of the time it does. But actually, 69% of online social that we see being spoken about our shows is done on dark social apps. So by that I mean chat apps where advertisers can't get in and we can't look at what's being said and what's being tracked. So as of December, 6 out of the 10 most downloaded apps were chat apps. So by that I mean Skype, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and there's a huge one in China, there's a huge one in Korea, and you can't advertise on those very easily. So you need to really think about how we can be a part of that conversation and how we can listen to what's being said. And then finally, data science is something that we've invested in massively. At Ticketmaster, we've got an in-house data science team because it's just now so important. We are sitting on so much data. 90% of the data that we have now that we use in ticketing didn't exist a year ago. So that is how much is now being generated and being sort of stored into our data warehousing team. So you've got all of that, and then you've got someone like this, and everyone knows someone like this. I'm this person maybe when I've had a couple of gins. It's the era of me, and everyone is just expecting personalisation all the time. So you've got a bit of a quandary as a marketer with ticketing when you're sat on this huge amount of data, but everyone just wants really targeted, relevant communications. I think you said in your panel yesterday, I don't mind it as long as it's relevant, as long as it's valuable. So actually our job is pretty hard. And all of this is being powered, as I mentioned at the start, by new tech, fast, cheap, cloud-based data processing. So we really need to be on the top of our game at all times. And the reason why we're sitting on so much data is that we can now track every single click, everything that happens, not just on our Ticketmaster sites, but when you're not on Ticketmaster too. So we take all of your behaviour and we'll put it through what we see on our websites, through an algorithm, and then we can identify what sort of person you are and then find other people that look like you. So this is what we spend a lot of time and money doing. But then what do we do with it at the end? And it's important that we spend time and money on this because customers' expectations of service, of relevancy, of timeliness is higher than ever. And this was basically said in almost every panel that I heard yesterday. Everyone is expecting things to be brilliant when it comes to ticket marketing. So the pressure is on. I hate the phrase millennials because we are all millennials. My dad had an iPad and I still can't afford one. Everyone is a millennial. This was published by Dscout last month. The typical mobile user touches their phone 2,617 times a day. That's just touching your phone. At first I was like, that cannot be true. But if you think about it, I use it as a stress ball. I use it as a comfort. Like, it's always in my hand. And we've got this way to connect with people that is always there. But I would argue that a lot of companies in music particularly aren't quite using it as they should do yet. And the average attention span is 6 seconds. So that was published by Harvard in November, 6 seconds. So that's not just like, your 16-year-old little sister that's annoying and always doing things. This is like all adults. And it's like everyone is a millennial if that's how you view a millennial. And that's really important to remember. If we're marketing like a family show to mums, their attention span and their time is just as short, if not more valuable than the 16-year-old. And then email. Email was mentioned quite a bit yesterday. It's about so much more than email, but I think CRM strategy is super important for us still, because we know when we've done customer research that 70% of our fans of our database start with email. That's how they start their digital day. They wake up, they pick up their phone, and they check email, and then they check Facebook. So this has been something that we've been really investing in. So overall, we've got more devices, more channels, and more marketing all the time. So you have to have the ability to cut through, and this is where the challenge lies. So how do we actually meet that challenge in terms of audience and ticketing? So this is the Wacken Festival crowd, and I think you don't even need to be a marketer to be able to go, I roughly know who's going to be in that crowd. It's basically going to be 18 to 34. They're going to be into rock and metal. They're probably most likely to be students. They're probably on medium to low income. It's quite easy for someone to work out who that is. But actually, at Ticketmaster, what we're able to do is look at every single ticket purchaser, because in this crowd is this lady. And the average advertising campaign would not hit her because she's not like the majority of people in that crowd. So we have to start being able to look at every single individual that has purchased a ticket so that we can reach people like her and her mates who still go to this festival because they are legends, and we can do that. So we can do that because we can look at every single individual customer that we have. So just to be really clear, all of the information you're about to see in this section is true, but she's not called Lisa, she's actually a guy, and this is not what Lisa looks like. This is an image of iStock of someone quite hot. So this is someone from the Netherlands. They created a Ticketmaster account on the 20th of March 2010, and they recently went to go and see Amber Arcades. So this, just from having to buy a ticket and signing up to Ticketmaster, we're then able to look at her demographics, because we partner with a load of different demographic companies around different markets, but mainly the first one is Personix. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of it, but they basically are able to match your postcode, your gender, and roughly say what mosaic group you're in. So from that, we're able to work out from her signing up that she's female, she lives in Gorenchem, she's young and unmarried, she's very likely to go to the gym, she's very likely to have no children, she's well educated, and she earns an above average income. So this is just from the matching that we do with our mosaic groups. And also from our own data, we can see her browsing behaviour. So she's visited Ticketmaster.nl over 287 times, viewed more than 500 pages. She browses on mobile but purchases on desktop. So we see this quite a lot, and this makes us go, why are they not purchasing more on mobile? We need to spend more on our mobile conversion strategy. She regularly checks Paradiso, who was here yesterday, I hope he's still here today, and the Milkweg listings. She's browsed a load of festival pages, but actually only purchased for one festival on Ticketmaster. And then we can see how she responds to our CRM strategy. So we have sent her 352 emails, which sounds like a lot, but this is over the course of 7 years, so we haven't been too mental. She engages most with our targeted campaigns. It sounds obvious, but as a marketer, it's really nice to see that, because you know that you're doing the right thing. She opens 28% of the emails that we sent her, and she clicks through on about a third of those. So she's a pretty engaged customer. We like Lisa, she's a good one. And she purchased an Amber Arcades ticket after clicking through from our ticket alert, which is our big weekly email that goes out with all of the new on sales on. So we know that she has purchased through CRM, and we should continue to really think about how we are communicating with her. We can also see what she's bought across the last 6 years. So this is everything that she's bought across 6 years. And you can start to see what genres she's into, if it's just music, or actually does she go to family events or theatre. So for Lisa, you can see it's pretty much just music and festivals, and it's very much one genre. So from that, we can then also work out metrics. we can work out how far she's prepared to travel. So I used to work at Live Nation, so I used to be a Ticketmaster client, and that was super, super useful. Being able to see how far people were prepared to travel instantly helps you geodem your marketing campaign. So I used to take this data a lot and apply that to any Facebook campaign I was running, because you're able to see roughly how far you should stretch your money. There's a 97% chance her next purchase will be a concert, because everything that she's bought with us so far has been music. 3% chance it'll be an arts event. So we're automatically starting to see what we should be sending to her in emails and in CRM, what we should be displaying on our homepage and on our app. She's most likely to purchase in the middle of a sales window, so she's not a late buyer, but she also doesn't do it right at the start. Makes purchases in the evening, and she purchases a pair of tickets. So hopefully from that you can see already how we take all of this insight and go, cool, so we should actually only email her in the evening. And we should remind her that stuff is coming up in a couple of months, because that tends to be when she starts thinking about purchasing. So we have all of this info. And this is awesome, and this is so interesting, but this is one person, and we have like a database of 14 million people. So then you have to think, how can we apply this to our whole database? Because there's only so many of us that work in marketing, we can't do this for every single person. And this is where it gets interesting, because actually scale is needed for personalisation. So I know that sounds like a contradiction, but if we're able to actually do targeting properly, you need a huge amount of people in your database to be able to see how they're all different. So this is something that at Ticketmaster, we celebrated our 40th birthday last year. So we're able to have, and we're lucky enough to have built up quite a good database with our clients in all of the markets that we're in so far, and we're able to do this. Just a quick overview on our data. So this is across international markets last year. So every market that we're in apart from America. So we had 20 million orders, sent 1.5 billion emails, which sounds insane. 500 million visits, 2 billion page views. So we have a huge amount of data that we're sat on, and then we're able to identify every single customer. So then what does that look like for big data marketing? Because as I said, we're sat on all of this data, and oftentimes it's just not used, or it's used incorrectly. So this is the biggest challenge that we're facing this year. So we're focusing on what we're calling personalisation at scale, so that it's worth the time, so that we can still sell a lot of tickets, but we can sell them effectively, and we don't piss off our customers, which is the most important thing. So we've been working on loads of tools for our clients. One of them, we released this about 3 or 4 years ago. It's now rolled out in 14 markets. We've got a couple more to go. It's called Ticketmaster Analytics, and it's basically where any client can run a report on any event, on any venue, if you're at a venue, or if you're or an artist. And it will tell you roughly what demographics those ticket purchases are. So if they're male, female, age, income, what mosaic group, what other artists they're likely to have purchased, how far they're prepared to travel, the stuff that I said I found really useful as a client. So all of this stuff we're now able to do for our clients. This was something where 4 or 5 years ago, this was what our database looked like. So we had over half of our purchases were down as rock and pop, which is completely unhelpful, because we basically had people that were buying for Green Day in the same bloody group as people buying for Rihanna, and they are completely different. And what the data warehousing team started 4 years ago was, we call this the data Death Star. Get a bit geeky for a minute, check it out. So we basically matched every single link, every single ticket purchase. So this person bought tickets for Rihanna, and actually then she bought tickets for Gaga. And actually thousands of other people did the same thing. So there's got to be a link between Rihanna and Gaga. However, only one person bought a Rihanna ticket who then bought a Rammstein ticket. So the link isn't that big between them two. So that's basically what this is. And then we took this and we were able to create a tool called Ticketmaster Affinity. So this is what it looks like if you type in Beyonce. You can type it, you can choose your market. So you can look at this internationally, or you can look at this by country. And you just type in the artist, and it will give you all of the relevant artists based on ticket purchaser data. The bigger the bubble, the more people they are, the more people are likely to have bought both tickets. And this has been really helpful, not just for marketing, but actually a few promoters have now started to use this when they're looking to fill up their festival lineups and see what other acts actually fit with the headliners that they've booked, and support acts as well. And then finally, talking about data and personalisation at scale, it came up yesterday. Spotify, we've just partnered with Spotify along with Facebook and Bands in Town, because they have huge scale as well. So they have 100 million plus users, 30 million songs. So they have data about listening. It's like that's the data that we don't have. So this has been, I mean, it's still a really new partnership. It's just being rolled out in a few markets. It's still in test phase. But what we're now able to do as Spotify's ticketing partner is that we know that you've been listening to any of your favourite artists, when we announce a show, if you're opted into their marketing, you now get an email that says upcoming concerts near you by artists you love. So this is being rolled out in the States, and the conversion that they've seen off the back of it has been big numbers. We've only just started to roll it out in the UK, but so far the results look super promising. So this is really exciting for us because they're leveraging their scale to deliver relevant content as well. So this is sort of like the theme that we're getting at, and this is what we're focusing on this year. And then how does that look in-house? I mentioned our weekly ticket alert earlier. Often, if I'm being really honest, quite often what we do, because we have so many shows that go on sale, is we send the longest email you've ever seen, full of every single show that was ever been put on sale, and it just doesn't work because that isn't relevant to you. So we have partnered with Salesforce, and we're using predictive intelligence, which is able to take all of the data we know about you and then work out what shows we should be putting in your email. So your email will be different from the person sat next to you. And I know it sounds obvious, but the amount of work it's taken to get off the ground has been huge because you have to really organise your data and use it effectively. But we rolled this out in the UK 3 weeks ago as the test market. And we've seen an average conversion uplift of 80%, which is insane. So I keep thinking there's got to be something wrong with it. But so far, the results have been really impressive. And we're hoping we'll roll this out into 5 to 6 more markets in the next 3 or 4 months. And we're just hoping that we can get real speed on it and start to be able to deliver actually targeted content to you guys. And that's it. Thanks.